Orientation on the Dutchess Model JN. We're going to go over what all the two different terms are for the various pieces of the machine, and we're also going to show the removal and reinsertion or reassembly of the head assembly. Semi-automatic divider rounder, which means that the pressing portion is done by hand, and that's done by way of the operating handle. So this handle coming off the top is what we call the operating handle. There's a control on the newer models here right now. It's called a stop rod. The stop rod's function is to adjust the amount of space between the bottom of this rod and the trip plate, which basically is going to give you the size of a pocket that you're going to have for the different dough. So the larger the dough you're going to have, the larger the space is going to be. The smaller ones you'll adjust it downward. There are numbers and some lines on here that are for a reference. So typically what you're going to do is you're going to experiment until you find the right setting for a particular weight of dough. The numbers on the lines don't have any significance as far as, like a number 4 doesn't mean a 4-pound piece of dough. It's strictly for reference. Okay. This handle right here is called a trip lever. The trip lever releases the cutting knives to come out of the head to cut the dough after you've brought the operating handle down to press the dough. And then the third handle here is called the rounding lever. The rounding lever actually activates the rounding motion. So without any dough here, I'm going to kind of go through the process. I'm going to turn the machine on so that the full effect is seen here. When you place a pallet of dough into the machine, you're first going to bring the handle down. You're going to press the dough with the operating handle. Release the cutting knives, bring the handle all the way down. The dough is now cut. And then by activating the rounding motion, and usually counting to yourself like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, stop. And if everything is set correctly, when you pull this out, you're going to have 36 round dough balls. We do have some other videos that kind of show that process. You're going to get that visual in those. But right now, this is just to show the various function of the machine. One of the things about this machine that makes it very nice for the food service industry is the head assembly can be removed and washed or interchanged. The first step to this is to put a pallet onto the crank plate. And this plate that oscillates is called the crank plate. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to lower this down, turn the head assembly until these slots align with these arms and it comes off. The next step is to loosen these two black knobs. There's one on the front, one on the back. They don't need to be removed, just simply loosen. Slide the trip lever over, hold it, and then bring the operating handle down. And you'll see the separation here in the head assembly. So I'm going to lower it down until it's close to the pallet here and give it a quarter of a turn, and that head assembly comes right off the machine. Now this head can now be taken to a sink or dishwasher for cleaning. If you have optional head assemblies, they can be placed on the machine at this time. The process to put it on is pretty much the same in reverse. You always must have a pallet on the machine in order for things to line up properly. So you put the head assembly with the hand orientated to the front, this handle, and then on the pallet. The next step you're going to do is release the trip lever. This is going to allow the shaft that is attached to the operating handle to lower fully. It may require that you look down there like I just did, make sure that it's lined properly. Once it is, you can turn this a quarter of a turn. There's a pin here and there's a hole in the head assembly that you're going to see when you get to the quarter turn. And as you raise it up, that's going to automatically align it so that these two black knobs will be able to be lined up and retightened. With the pallet still in place, we're going to place the ring on the machine with the slots at a 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock position. We're going to lower the head into there, and this machine is set up to operate clockwise. So we're going to rotate this head in a clockwise position until the pin hits the ring arm here, and that is now set to be reused for dividing and rounding dough. I think I mentioned this here, this stop rod. When the dough is being rounded, you should see a slight compression in this black bumper, it's called. It should not be bent over. It shouldn't have any space between here. There should be just a slight compression during the rounding. And when you're doing that, you're going to get your rounding time in about 8 to 10 seconds.